My name is Jeff Arbuckle. I never believed in movies until I actually saw one at an early age. So I set out on a quest to record what I watched onto a podcast. With no big audiences following us around, I am joined only by my co-host, Jason Oliver, and our other co-host, Chuck Moore. The three of us will discuss some of the most highly nostalgic movies ever, where we will spend an entire hour and a half being recorded on Zoom for the entirety. Raw, extreme. These are our film seizures.
Oh my God! a little douche baggins there.
Yeah, a little bit. Hey, welcome to Film Seizure, everybody, and the conclusion of Stephen King month and our little haunted house movie here, haunted hotel movie here with 1408. So, as I said, I am Jeff Arbuckle, aka Douche Baggins.
Yeah, douche baggins. I'm Chuck Moore. I don't know any other cast members on that show, so
I'm Jason Oliver, and I like to refer to this movie as 1408.
Fair enough.
who else we got here?
Yeah, we've got some special guests here to help us celebrate Halloween and complete our Stephen King month. So we have returning for the third time, Amber Brown.
Hello.
And for the second time, Blake Brown. How's it going?
Hey.
We appreciate your enthusiasm. That's
Yes.
good.
So here we are. We've got a director I can't pronounce. Jason, you probably are better at this.
I think Mikhail Hafstrom.
Okay. And I can pronounce John Cusack. We've got John Cusack starring in this.
Is this his debut?
I
I've never seen
believe it
John
is.
Cusack before.
And someone named Sammy Jackson.
Sammy
Yeah.
Jackson. He's a European up and comer. Yeah.
Maybe the L is silent.
Yeah. So Blake, Amber, what was the thought process behind choosing 1408?
Well, my thought process was I've seen tons of reviews on the classic Stephen King movies. Rarely do I see any for his short stories, any reviews for that. And it was down to this and Carrie. And I hadn't seen Carrie in a long time, and I rewatched it a couple weeks back. And 1408 is just more exciting to me. It feels fresher. You know, some of the acting in Carrie hasn't held up well, especially John Travolta.
I don't think John Travolta has held up well. So.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's basically his Mr. Cotter character in that movie.
Except for psychotic.
Yeah. Loves to hit his girlfriend. His girlfriend loves to be hit in that movie. So 1408, I've always loved supernatural movies. Those are my favorite type of horror movies. So that's the main reason I went with this. Like I said, you don't see many reviews on 1408 anymore, so that's why I chose it.
It's probably because a lot of people confuse it with the movie 1408. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it gets overlooked. Let's be
also. You know what's funny too, Jeff? Real quick is when you started watching this, you're like, I don't think I've ever seen this movie. I'm pretty sure I thought this movie was Identity. And Susan said the same thing. I don't think I've seen this before. I thought this took place at a motel. Wasn't this movie called Identity?
Right. So we're going to be a little bit transparent here. We were hoping for Carrie. Jason was really hoping for Carrie because he really wants to talk about David Lynch, because he has everything to do with Carrie. He doesn't.
He does. He has very close connection to Carrie. I'm going to get this out of the way again. Tangential. Jack Fisk was art director on Carrie. And Jack Fisk is David Lynch's best friend, and they came up together essentially in film. And in a lot of ways, they both have each other to credit for their careers. And Jack Fisk is married to Sissy Spacek,
Mm.
And both Sissy Spacek and Jack Fisk helped produce Eraserhead. So there you go.
Cool. So why didn't you pick Carrie?
Because I wanted to do the Dead Zone.
Just curious.
He wanted you to do his dirty work for him.
Yeah.
Which the Dead Zone also has connections to David Lynch, but anyway.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, as far as transparency goes, as Jeff was saying, I hadn't seen this movie. I read the short story many years ago. But as far as connections go, I thought this is like a great companion piece for Christine, actually, which I wasn't aware of or thinking of going in. But the evil non-living item kind of deal.
He loves that stuff, King.
Yeah.
My Buick 8 is the same way. If you guys
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's another one by a gas station you can evil. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I was going to say from a Buick 8 is similar to Christine. We didn't really talk about that last week, but it gives you a little bit more of a connection to the King universe, I think, because it's, if I remember correctly, that car is sort of a portal to the Todash space, right? Yeah. It's basically like a what the things from the mist can come out of into the world, right? It's
or the doors that Roland found.
Doorway, right?
Yeah.
It's a doorway. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is it was really interesting when we started watching this. I started watching this. I was like, man, this is so much like Christine in the sense that you have this place, this thing, this room. It's just an evil fucking room, right? They don't give you any explanation. There's no backstory to that. It's just a bad place. And it's the same way thing with Christine. It's just an evil fucking car, right? And that's kind of refreshing, honestly. We don't need a whole lot of belabored backstory and reasons for these things. It's more interesting when you see how people react to these things.
Yeah, I kind of like that too, because like when they jump in this movie, you're getting a lot more out of the John Cusack character about how he's kind of this frustrated writer who just wants the key to the goddamn room so he can write some bullshit haunted house story. Yeah, just sell another easy money thing and go to a signing that only like 3 or 4 people care about. He's written a novel that people like, but he just kind of pushes that away. It's like, that's somebody else. I'm not going to ever go back to any of that stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, that's, I appreciate that we get a lot more out of the characters than we do like why this thing is a thing. Mm-hmm. But, so I mean, really, I mean, Blake and Amber, did you guys watch the unrated version or the regular, like the?
I believe I've seen both. I know in the original version of 1408, he dies at the end. I guess test screenings of that changed that. People weren't happy with that. So, but
most recently we watched it
was probably the theatrical
version because Jude was watching it with us. So.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, because like I will.
Does that end the same way?
There are 3.
There are 3 different endings.
Yeah.
Oh, really? And so the theatrical and the unrated have different endings?
Yes.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, there's because in the short story he does get out of the room.
Yeah, none of the movie endings are the same as the book ending or the story ending either.
You should have had a clue montage at the end right there.
Yeah,
this is how it really happened.
Yeah. This is how he really learned.
So like, I mean, for me, it's like and particularly like the first half of the movie. I mean, I was really, really into it because it's like it has this cool, like, old dark house kind of feel. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like, oh, it's the cursed room that nobody knows. But you go in and it's, other than it being completely and totally empty aside from the furniture, it's like, I'm It is spooky. I mean, but it's also kind of a normal old room in an old hotel, and it lets itself play. It lets itself play out in its own, like, what's the word I'm looking for? At its own pace, right? So it's like, he's there, he's, skeptical at first, and then the little things happen, just the little things. And then, and then all of a sudden he gets his hand smashed in the window, but we'll get there here. So like, and I was sitting here thinking, it's like, man, this is really kind of putting me into like a Halloween type of mood, with like a haunted house. And I was definitely into it. Now, I do have some critiques that I'll get to later in the episode, because I did watch the unrated version, which is like almost 2 hours long. It's pretty long.
Just John Cusack in the room. That's a lot.
It's too much of a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would prefer the 90-minute version.
Yeah. But anyway, no, I mean, the first thing, there were a lot of things that I was seeing. Like, for example, when he goes into the Dolphin Hotel, I really thought like that the lobby of that looked like the ballroom in The Shining. And just like some of the activity and how it was just kind of, and like the lighting of it and all of that. But I really was getting Shining vibes in the room itself, because it looks just like the caretaker's suite.
Orders, yeah.
Yeah, at the Overlook, or at least how Stanley Kubrick did it. And I don't know if that was intentional or not.
I think it was, but maybe not. Yeah.
I think so too. And they also had a character that died in that room named Grady Miller, which I think is a Grady nod for sure. So I think this was, like, a lot of it was homage to Christine and The Shining, it felt like.
I agree. I really, really, really like the scene between Cusack and Sam Jackson. Like, that whole lead up to him going into the room is my favorite part of the movie. I wanted more of that somehow later, and we didn't really get it. But man, I was like in. I was like, holy shit, I'm in. Like, I loved that their interaction, the way they played off each other, him trying to build the case, against him going into the room. I thought was really compelling and interesting, and him just being so cynical that he's not hearing it. It's like, no way. Yeah.
If Samuel L. Jackson would have joined him in the room at one point, that would have been probably pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. That, unfortunately,
he's going to get in the mix too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they try to shoehorn him in a little bit as like an apparition, in the mini fridge.
Mini fridge, yeah.
But you know that it's a ruse, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know the difference between all the differences between the theatrical and director's cut. But it would have been cool when he thinks he's escaped, if he has that conversation again with Samuel L. Jackson about going into the room, but it's different somehow. That would have been a good reintroduction to that, and have him show less skepticism about what's happening. Would have been cool, but...
there were a couple of things in this also, that in these first few scenes that I had questions about. When he gets the postcard for the Dolphin Hotel and it says, don't go into room 1408, he writes equals 13.
Yeah, 1408 equals
408 is a sum of.
You add it all together, 13.
Yeah.
Get there faster.
It's kind of like a dumb thing,
It is. Yeah, I thought it was pretty dumb.
It's something that Stephen King has just casually mentioned about it, Okay. And I felt like the writer was like, oh yeah, we got to make sure we work that in there, But it's also room 13 on the 13th floor, even though it's the 14th floor, room, right?
Yeah.
Because it's on the 14th floor of the hotel,
but it's
there
the
is
8th.
13, yeah.
But it's the 8th room on the 13th floor.
Well, I know, but I mean 1408 equals 30.
Okay.
It's just stupid, like little crap.
Okay,
Probably not
enough.
worth too much time.
It's just
Well,
trying
I'm
to be
stuck on it now, guys. We're going to talk for the next hour about this.
You know what Susan caught real early in the room? I don't know if you guys caught it, but when he picks up the Bible the first time and he throws it back on the nightstand, did you notice that the Holy Bible was inversed?
Yeah, it was a reflection of something. I thought it was looking at it from like the lamp, like the lamp was reflecting it, or a mirror was. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I truly believe it was like sort of, Black Mass kind of shit where it was like an inverse. It's like, oh crap, that's like your first clue. Shit's going bad. Yeah.
I also like that. This is just a good old fashioned atheist character, like a good old fashioned. God took my kid, and I'm mad. I'm mad about it.
You're going to have to prove it to me.
Yeah.
And there's an interesting thing about that because him and his wife split because of the fact that she was filling her daughter's head with the sense of there is this afterlife and you will go to a better place. And he was upset about that because he felt like that was taking away her will to fight.
Yeah.
And that's really compelling. I mean, I'm sure, Amber and Blake would have some thoughts on that, being parents, and Chuck, sorry. But
not Chuck.
Only
Amber and Blake, not Chuck.
I don't have thoughts about anything.
But I found that to ring really true, and I could see that becoming a wedge in a marriage like that.
It can be, for sure. We've actually had discussions about that.
Yeah.
We have different thoughts on that and what to expose the kids to and what not to. So especially, we haven't dealt with obviously a situation like that where it's life or death with our kids, luckily, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But, just day-to-day experiences and what to say and what not to say and what I'm comfortable with and what I'm not, that kind of thing. So in that type of situation, it's amped up like times 10. So I could see how that would definitely be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Last week I was dropping Brinley off. She's 11. At her football practice, and she brought up the topic of God and Jesus Christ. And I've been, throughout their lives, always advising them to, take in all the information they can and make their own choices, right? I'd give them little bits of what I believe at times, but I don't try to influence them too much. But she came to her own conclusion about what she believes, and it tends to align with me, which I think is cool. But if it didn't, I'd be like, okay, well, you're your own person, Yeah.
And it's okay, too, for those things to evolve and change as well. You don't have to decide one thing now and have that be what you believe your entire life,
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
So, for all you kids out there listening to this episode, it's okay. It's okay to be you, man. Just do your thing, man. Just don't hurt anybody while you're doing it. So another line that came up, that it was in the scene with Sam Jackson and John Cusack, and Sam Jackson's like trying to convince him that man, this room is not a good room. Please don't go into it. And he said something to him that I wrote down. He says, "Why don't you shave your eyebrows and paint your hair gold?" What is that referring to? It's supposed to mean something. I think it's. Is that supposed to be is that like a character, or I heard that and I was like, huh? I've never heard. It
seemed pretty precise, but I more thought of it as just
I don't remember the line. Who said it?
John Cusack said it to Sam Jackson.
Oh, okay. I was thinking the other way around. Okay, gotcha.
He's when he's trying to convince him that the room is evil. I think he's basically saying, you're just a clown salesman right now, is what I took from it. But there could be a reference to something literal there that I just don't know.
Yeah, that's random.
Yeah, because I was like, wait, because there were times where it's maybe I thought I was stuck in room 1408 because I was like, did I hear that right?
Yeah.
What's 13? Or, whatever. Yeah. It's I was there were times where it's I was a little, like I was
off kilter.
Yeah, a little off kilter by the
line is shave your eyebrows and paint your head gold. That's the line.
Paint your hair gold.
Hair gold.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do a quick.
If you're gonna try to sell that spook house bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like like a carny, a carny or something.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
that's
guess
what
so.
I took out from it.
Yeah.
I have a question too, since we're asking questions while Jason's looking that up.
I've got nothing. The only thing that comes up is 1408. 1408. Yeah.
Did the 60-minute clock literally transpire over 60 minutes in the film?
Yes.
Okay.
I just read something. Yeah.
Okay. I thought so. It felt like it, but I couldn't. For some reason, I couldn't find it.
It does not include him like in the restart.
Well, yeah, but the clock goes to 0 at that point.
Yeah.
Right. Because like when you're supposed to believe that he's somehow back in California, it doesn't include that.
Right.
I think the other part did.
When the clock goes to 0, it's been 60 minutes.
Yeah, I think they said that in all he spent 70 minutes in the room.
Yeah.
And that was the actual. Yeah.
I like that. I like real time. That's always neat.
Yeah, it is neat, and that's when we get like our first kind of Christine reference to the radio starts. Yeah, well, the countdown in the radio starts playing.
We've only just begun.
Yeah. That's very great. Carpenter's song there. I'm pretty sure that's directly from the book or the short story. Excuse me. But yeah, there's two references there. The countdown matches the odometer to a point in Christine, and the radio playing, a message to him basically, which Christine always did. So that's the point where I was like, wow, this is really kind of connected to that movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, we get some cool. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say it just random, but it's like this movie kind of reminded me of like a Mike Flanagan movie. Like this almost feels like a Mike Flanagan Stephen King movie.
Yeah,
to me.
I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, he's doing Revival, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Revival, man, that's one of my favorite Stephen King books in a long time.
I haven't got to read it yet, but everybody tells me it's great.
You gotta read it, dude. It is cosmic as fuck. Like it is King at his Lovecraftian best.
I want that poll quote on the cover of the book. It's cosmic as fuck.
Fuck.
I'd be happy to learn that.
Give me about an hour. I'll be able to whip that up. No problem. We got that. All right, Chuck, you were saying.
Yeah, so I was just going to go and delve into more of the film. He's sitting on the bed, doing his drinking thing, like, yeah, nothing's going on here, ho-hum. And he notes that there's no window in the bedroom, but then all of a sudden he's looking out a window in the bedroom. So you're like, wait, this is weird. What's going on here? And he gets scared by the clock radio turning on and singing "We've Only Just Begun," and the window falls on his hand and cuts him, and now he's scared as fuck all of a sudden. Does he
see himself across the way first before the?
That's a little later.
Yeah.
But you start to see the evil of the room. It's just toying with him at this point. You got to wonder what, because Olin had said that one of the workers at the hotel gouged her eyes out after being in there for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like
the
what the fuck?
Backstory stuff was really good. Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck did it do to her to get her to gouge her eyes out in 2 minutes?
I kind of thought about that, and I think it has to do with your receptiveness to this, supernatural.
So
right?
she was a believer probably when she went in there.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. She was probably already scared to be in the room. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, Cusack didn't get a pass until something actually happened. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I also like, because he was complaining about the the thermostat was stuck on like 80 or whatever, and the guy comes to tell him how to fix it. He's like, I ain't coming in there. Like, yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, just tap the damn thing.
That is the great Isaiah Whitlock Jr. He's in The Wire. He's the guy famous from The Wire.
Oh, I
saying
That's amazing. And I like that part too, leading up to the thermostat part, because actually, I think before he cuts his hand, he's kind of sleuthing the room, looking for.
Well, he takes a piece of toilet paper to do something, and then that's the second thing that he gets. But yeah, he's just kind of going room to room.
Yeah, he's doing his investigation. Like, there's a trapdoor here. There's some escape route, or someone's hiding in this armoire. Like, all of that stuff was super cool.
Yeah.
It was actually when it really got into the horror part of it that I kind of lost the thread a little bit. When he was actually getting terrorized, I was like, man, I like the other stuff better. Did anyone have any thoughts on that? Like
some of the effects. I don't know if any of you guys have read the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, but some of those. You never read that, Ryan?
No.
Well, you've missed out.
You missed out. Really matched that. So.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you, Chuck, that there was and again, I wonder if seeing the rated version with it that's 20 minutes shorter, there was a little bit of a lull. Like there were things that were starting to happen that I kind of felt like, okay, it's like, yeah, this is kind of standard scary room or scary movie stuff, but there were almost everything around it that was less cinematic, I thought was really, really effective. Right. And like just like there was one thing that Sam Jackson says where it's like, man, I don't want to clean up the mess. And then the room is like starting to fall apart around him. And I'm like, oh, that's the mess he's talking about. It's like all the water that's in there now, or the the snow and everything is broken now. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Right.
But I never looked at it as, it was a little overly cinematic in those types of scenes where everything was falling apart around him. But I do kind of like how the room looked when he sees his daughter again. I know I'm skipping way ahead there, but that becomes a little bit more hellish. And it's and it's almost like what's kind of left of John Cusack's mind, that's all in shambles at that point.
I think John Cusack did very well in this. I mean, he's basically the only actor in this, him and a tape recorder, and he carries the film very well, I think.
Yeah, he strapped that to his back, and he's carrying it nicely.
Yeah, it made me want to watch Grosse Pointe Blank, like keep going with Cusack, because I enjoyed his performance so much. It's like, I want to watch another Cusack film now.
Speaking of Grosse Pointe Blank.
I love Identity.
I do too.
I liked Identity too. Yeah. Speaking of Grosse Pointe Blank, and speaking of another movie that we watched here on Film Seizure, which is Force 5, the guy who's the crazy hammer killer dude is Benny Urquidez. Yeah, Benny the Jet.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I wanted more of him.
Yeah, and he does stunts for he did stunts for Grosse Pointe Blank, and he did the stunts in this movie too, and then he was also the claw hammer.
Did we get a backstory on him in the movie? I don't recall him being brought up as one of the inhabitants of the room that died there.
They just said that it was like dozens of people. The
killer, the guy that held.
Oh yeah, the claw. Yeah.
Yeah,
56 deaths in that movie, or in that room, or something. They said.
Yeah, 56 deaths. Yep, total. 22 are natural, or were
natural.
Yeah, air quotes. Yeah.
I do like that there was a little bit of a commentary on the idea, because he's like natural, He goes, "Oh yeah, no, the newspapers won't report on that shit. That's not exciting." You know, that's a good point. Yeah, it's like, you know, somebody who gets murdered in a house, then it gets bought by somebody who dies of natural causes. Nobody cares about the person who died of quote unquote natural causes.
Right. Steph made a funny call out during the film because one of the victims of the room drowned in his chicken soup, and Cusack's like, "Well, how do you drown in chicken soup?" So when he broke the picture frame and all the water flooded in, Steph was like, "Good thing he didn't order the chicken soup," because it's probably precisely how it happened to him. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the postcard again real quick?
Yeah, let's do
13.
13.
8.
Okay, cool. Never mind then. Do we want to know or care about who sent that postcard?
I say it's the room.
I think it's the room.
Yeah.
Because if there was, I think if it was anything other than the room, then there would have been somebody in the hotel that would have been like peeping around a corner or like, hey, I'm telling you, something's weird in there. I think it was the room reaching out to him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the only other explanation.
Samuel Jackson. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he even like compliments him as a writer. It's like, man, I read your stuff. You're good. You know, it's like, and then you've got all this, you know, trash that you write. That's fine. You know, whatever.
You're a smart guy writing bullshit right now, basically what he says to him.
Okay, here's another question.
Okay.
So they get around we won't rent this room out to anyone, but then they get around that with the lawyer because if the room is available, it has to be.
It's a civil rights.
You know, rented out.
Yeah, discrimination or whatever.
Discrimination, civil rights kind of lawsuit, which fine. But wouldn't there be a practical way you could make the room not available?
Like just go in there and tear some crap up real quick.
Yeah. I mean, the mini bar stops, like everything, you know, it's like.
I bet you anything the room would have just fixed itself because the room was in there.
But then they mentioned later that, you know, John Cusack destroyed the room with the fire. So why couldn't it just repair itself again?
Well, it might have been,
you know?
It might have been just like a cleansing fire or something, because also right before that, he starts like he's basically begging God not to take his daughter away. So he's kind of a believer again. So it may be more like a cleansing fire sort of thing that killed the room. Although I can't believe that all those other people didn't. I mean, they weren't.
I don't think anybody else got as far as he did.
That's true. Yeah. They were jumping out the window.
I think in the short story, a lot more is made of that shirt that he's wearing, his Hawaiian shirt.
Oh yeah,
that's like a classic John Cusack look too.
It is. Yeah,
it's probably how he got the part.
Yeah, they're like
oh, I got that wardrobe in my closet right now. Bring it.
Yep.
Yeah.
The fedora bother anybody else? The very tiny fedora he wears in the movie?
Oh, a little, yeah.
Yeah.
Like his, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you pointed that out while we were watching it.
The giant head and that
like
small
a child
fedora.
size.
I didn't remember
what was
that.
on his hat? What was on his hat?
It was like a wicker fedora. I have a feeling that John Cusack was like, I want to wear this in the movie.
Yeah, this happens.
This is my pick. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a hat on, a baseball cap.
Shirt, so it's happening.
Yeah.
He had a baseball cap when he went to the book signing.
White Sox.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it said, paranoia is total awareness. Did you guys notice that?
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And then when he got to the hotel also, I can't remember if it was the first hotel. No, it was the first hotel. He had the White Sox hat on. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
We can probably draw conclusions about White Sox, the paranoia, and wicker fedoras.
Yeah.
It's all in there. It's all in there. Call up Q, get it on QAnon. It's all there. All the answers are there.
And Benny the Jet.
And Benny the Jet is somehow involved.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Shit.
So yeah, like I thought it was kind of funny that he takes a black light with him to hotels. That's gross.
Yeah.
Like
Everyone did that.
Yeah.
His hat should read "Ignorance is bliss," man.
Yeah.
He's gonna sleep in the tub. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, he definitely wanted to prove that those people had died there, I guess. I'm surprised he didn't use that Geiger counter, or whatever that, not a Geiger counter. What is the...
His HR Geiger counter?
Yeah, his HR Geiger counter. Whatever that...
That's the thing that the Ghost Adventures guys carry.
I was gonna say, you should know.
I have
You
not said
an intro.
anything about Ghost Adventures yet, outside of my intro. This guy is like the anti-Zach Baggins. Like, you know, you bring Zach Baggins into 1408, he's like, dude, come at me, bro. Come on, let's fight. Let's fucking fight. And he'll be like punching the walls and shit. And then, but like, he's trying to like disprove that it's just all, you know, it's all like urban legends.
Yeah.
And, yeah. It's just, spooky stories that people tell each other.
So, all right, a question about that.
I'm not done with Zach Baggins.
I know.
No, go
I know.
ahead. Okay.
But the books that he writes, does he write them from the perspective of he's trying to prop these places up as spooky, or is he writing from the perspective of I'm debunking the myth?
Well, people seem to be like effectively spooked out by it.
Yeah. So he's given them some embellishment.
Yeah, I think he calls them 10 haunted hotels, not 10 places I went that aren't fucking
Fake and
haunted.
not real.
This place is not fucking haunted.
Doing the book signing, he's pretty cynical about it all.
I think that's because 4 people showed up. I think he's a little...
He's kind of over it. Yeah. That's fair.
But I like the girl that has his original book.
That was a
nice,
sweet little scene, yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice touch to give us some backstory without cramming it down our throats.
And also to kind of humanize this character. You know, he's
just in a bad spot.
Right. Yeah.
And his dad was an asshole. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no. But you obviously you're like, yeah, you're lying. You're a liar, Cusick.
Go back to acting school, Cusick.
Your sister Joanne is better.
Joanne. Oh, that's good. So no, I totally, I think he is, he's using a little bit of his creative writing to kind of embellish on that. And I think he's, but I think he also knows that he's selling, he's kind of a snake oil salesman, right? Like he's selling spooky stories to people who just want to believe them. And not really people who are thinking critically like he thinks he does.
Right, who's the character in the Haunted Hill House?
The older brother.
Yeah, the older brother. And did you guys see the Haunted Hill House?
Yeah, I did.
Whatever, it reminded me a lot of what the oldest brother does, where he's like researching all of these ghost stories or whatever, and the people under, like, they enjoy that element of it, but he's always disproving it in the end, you know? So,
yeah, it's kind of like what was the other show on Sci-Fi? Was it Ghost Hunters? Was that the one that was on Sci-Fi?
Yeah.
They typically debunked like they were hoping to find something, but they usually would land on this is happening because you really need to see a doctor.
Yeah.
Which
we have creaky floorboards, dude.
Which one was Hugh Laurie parodying?
Ghost Hunters International.
Yeah. That is one of my all-time favorite SNL sketches. Oh my god.
That's number 2. That's number 2 for me.
To Fajita Roundup?
If to Fajita Roundup, yep.
To Fajita Roundup. Yeah.
I mean, the Barry Gibb talk show is the best. We all know that. But.
Yeah. But anyway, no, I like there's some like there definitely the other reason why I was getting like some of those Halloween vibes, other than that it's, you know, a haunted spooky room with and it's some of those early things that the room was doing was kind of like stuff that's happening off camera, or it's not like like I was saying, it's not the cinematic, like the big effect scene or whatever, but I was getting that mood because it's like October is the only month anybody should watch a ghost hunting show, because otherwise they're stupid. And that's the only month that I watch.
The shows are stupid, or the people that watch them in other months are stupid?
Loaf from column A, loaf from column B.
Draw your own conclusion. Draw your own conclusion.
Yeah. But no, it's but it's like it's just I want to be spooked out by that. So like when you hear if you hear a really good ghost story, or like some of the best like creepypasta stuff out there, it's like you're reading it because you want to be spooked, or you're watching it because you want to feel spooked or something, so it's like this movie was really, really good at that in those quieter moments, that it's like, oh shit, what's going to happen next, or who's going to suddenly like come bum rushing him out of the blue,
right
like the claw hammer guy.
But yeah, that's sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was done.
I was going to say, as far as like skepticism and stuff, there are 2 times in my life where I would say normally I'd be 100% certain there was paranormal activity going on, but I'm still a skeptic.
Well, I think it's healthy to be skeptic.
Yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about, and I still don't have an explanation for it.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if we want to.
You guys,
now you got to share what we're talking about.
You guys left that tape on the.
Okay, so
corner.
I'll try to.
Hey guys, let's Encyclopedia Brown this shit, okay?
Yeah, let's figure it out. So I'll try to make this quick, unless you want to explain the first part, Jason, since you were there.
Well, there were 2 incidents.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is an apartment that Chuck and I shared in San Diego, and there was one time where the cradle to our cordless phone, the indentation where the phone fits into the cradle, was filled with water, right? And we were like, how would that happen? There's no water around it.
No plants or anything near it?
No, nothing. It was just sitting on a wooden
ceiling.
Yeah.
No splash back anywhere. It was just perfectly filled with water. So the only way I could really imagine practically that happening is someone, very delicately pouring water into the cradle. Now we sort of kind of just pass it off as maybe me just being drunk and pissing.
That was exactly what I was thinking.
But there was no splash. There was nothing else. Was wet. Right?
You have to get out the black light. Find out where the splash went.
So it felt like, well, we can just pretend that that's what happened, and I'll accept that. Because I had a history of this.
Right. Jason's peed on things before.
And yes. So we just sort of like didn't think another thing about it. But then another incident happened. I'll let Chuck tell this part.
Yeah, I think you actually had maybe moved away at this point, because I remember calling you to tell you about it.
No,
just a blockbuster.
No, there was a second incident when I was still there, I think.
Oh, well, go ahead then.
Wasn't this the utility of the silverware tray?
Yes, I thought you were gone for that, but maybe you weren't. I was in the shower. I was in the apartment alone. I started hearing noises out in the living room, so I called out for, if Jason was still living there, it would have been him, thinking like, somebody's home. What is all this
I think
noise?
you're right. I wasn't there when this happened.
Yeah. So I got out of the shower, I dried off, I went to the front door, it was locked. I was like, so if someone was here, they've left and locked the door. And then I went into the kitchen, and this is really freaky to me. All of the silverware from our silverware drawer was on the counter of the sink, next to the sink. And the plastic little trays that you keep all your silverware in was filled to the top with water. Nothing around it was wet, nothing anywhere was wet. So we start calling.
And I wasn't there to pee in it.
Besides Jason?
No.
Just you two?
No, just us two. And there's zero explanation for that one for me. It was really kind of scary.
Wow.
So we just started calling it the water ghost, because there was never anything evil about it, like nothing really bad ever happened. But then eventually I got a cat, my buddy Guido, the cat. He would constantly chase like nothing around the apartment and get like real freaked out like all of a sudden. So I was like, oh yeah, the ghost is here. You know, and I still don't know if I 100% believe it, but I mean, it's hard to dismiss a lot.
It's like,
that stuff.
I mean, what's the explanation? There's somebody
Wet
came
bandits?
into the apartment
Wet
and did it.
bandits.
The wet fucking bandits.
The
Yeah,
wet
there you go.
bandit. Yeah. I had a stack of CDs fall over for no reason once. Like just stuff would like randomly fall over, and I'd be like, "Well, I stacked them too high," you know. But shit like that's
stuff where like transients hide in people's apartments, like in their ceilings and shit, and sneak out when they're not in the apartment and stuff like that. But I mean,
that would
weird.
be really weird.
That's
Like,
just some
really
weird
clear
fucking mischief,
wall.
though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. I mean,
Because yeah, you're right, Chuck. Because I remember when you called me when that happened, and then we were like, "Holy shit!" Remember the thing with the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. Whew, I'm getting some shivers.
Yeah. So
shiver me timbers.
I don't know necessarily why that. I mean, I know this is a ghost story episode, but I don't know how that connects to the movie, really. But as far as I guess skepticism is concerned,
Well, skepticism or belief are both very strong
Yes.
feelings in people, and you know we are more strong on the skeptic side of things, and we've seen something, we've experienced something that we cannot explain. Yet
Yeah.
we're still very skeptical of it.
Yeah, like my mom always to this day believes that about a week or so after her dad died, she was positive that because she used to work at night, so she would sleep during the day while I was at school and everything. And she swears that there was one time, and she swears she was awake, or at least was woken up by the sound of somebody walking across, because our upstairs had a had hardwood floor in this apartment, and that she heard somebody walk across the floor, thought it was me home from school or whatever, and then somebody sat on the bed, and in her dad's voice said it's going to be okay or whatever. And it's like, well, I don't have any reason to disprove that, because like I've never had anything that I feel was particularly supernatural happen to me. However, there are times where I wake up or I'm like dozing off or something, but I think I hear somebody say something to me, but I know that it's a fugue state that I'm in, right? Like I don't have any feeling that anybody is around or anything. I mean, I've had things happen that are totally explainable, but I've never had anything that I felt like was supernatural in,
Yeah.
right?
you know, other than yeah, sometimes the cats go zooming around the house or they're looking at something and I'm like, what the fuck are you looking at? But
Yeah.
Yeah, the old town I lived in Niagara Falls, or was upstate New York, you know, was popular battle site during, you know, the Revolutionary War and French and Indian American War, or whatever that war was called. So a lot of weird shit would happen, like at the old fort where the big castles were, but you just chalk it up to like this is an old place. There's wind, you know, coming through the well. It's not a lady screaming. It's, you know, but
And your subconscious is already kind of processing things like that too, and
Right.
and you're feeding yourself, you know, information, and you honestly, a lot of people just want to have that experience like that, you know.
Right.
So they're
Like I was just racking my brain. I'm like, I've never had that before. And we even lived, like the house that we lived in before this was built in like 1895. So when we bought it, I totally thought like I was in for some spooky shit. Like I was pretty sure at least somebody had died there, you know, like something was going to happen. And like, it was all kind of explainable. Yeah. Like any like, creaking noises. Well, the house was built in 1895, you know, like things like
yeah.
I kind of want to have some kind of experience like that just to know if that would change my skepticism, I guess. Like I mean, 'cause obviously John Cusack wasn't a skeptic anymore, but he got like bombarded by stuff. Like,
right.
yeah, he got literally hurt.
Certainly did.
Yeah.
This was your last house you were talking about, right? The one.
Broadway one. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that is the
house
type
is
of
awesome.
house where I would expect shit to happen for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was totally ready for it. Like I was psyched about it.
Didn't you have like a murder basement in that house?
There was a murder basement.
Yeah.
I was the only one. I'm like 5 foot tall. I'm the only one that could stand up in it. Yeah. One of those. Like, so I could stand up in it, but I sure shit didn't go down
where we
there.
buried the hookers.
That might have been where the ghost was. I just never experienced it because I didn't go down there.
I'm gonna ask the current owner to go find all the hookers you buried, Blake.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Just ask Gail. Yeah.
We can start a little Facebook Messenger group after this and do that and say, hey Gail,
Hey, Gail.
dead hookers down there.
It's like including the ones I put down there.
Whoa.
All right,
Go ahead.
I have another question. So Sam Jackson specifically says that electronic devices don't work in the room, right? Let's talk about the communication between Cusick and McCormack.
His wife, right? The wife he left.
Yeah, his wife that he left after their daughter died. Is that communication really happening?
No.
At all?
No, it's not, because remember when he died, she's at the funeral. She didn't know what he was doing and thought Samuel L. Jackson was a crazy person. And Tony Shalhoub was like, Tony Shalhoub said, no, leave her alone.
There's two things I like about that. I like that the room was trying to convince him that his wife was coming to the room to essentially get him to make the choice that the room wanted, right?
Yeah. Right.
And then he refused that. He was like, I don't believe you. But I also really liked the chill where she says that they're there in the room, the police are, and he's not. I thought that was really cool.
That was great. And at that point I was still kind of wondering if that communication was real and thinking like the car from a Buick 8, if going into that room he entered some kind of Todash space and was in a different, like a parallel universe or something.
Totally.
He wasn't there. But yeah, by the end I thought this communication, either it was bad editing, since this was an alternate ending that we're watching, not the original ending, that he, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't love the ending of the director's cut.
Me neither.
I do. The one thing I will say that I do like are the phone calls that he gets from the desk
room
lady.
Wait,
from the room.
Real quick, did all three of you watch the unrated version?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you tell us how the theatrical version ends? How's that go?
And the communication pretty much had to be real because she showed up outside of the hotel room, and it had nothing to do with what was going on in the hotel room. She was down on the streets and things were happening in the building.
That's true, and actually that does happen. That does happen in the unedited.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know if they made that choice consciously to make you decide between it, depending on which version you were watching.
She actually goes into the hotel and is outside the room.
She shows up outside the hotel and she can't.
They do that in the unrated as well, but it's I think it's a little bit of trying to just pull the wool over your eyes.
I think maybe the first communication happened until his.
Because she said her husband was in there.
Right.
Yeah, she knew he was in there.
Yeah. I think that she knew.
But at the funeral, see, you guys don't have the funeral at the end.
Right, I know. But I'm saying, in our version, you're definitely led to believe that the communication happened because she's there. She's out.
Yeah, the way she acts.
They retcon it. They retcon it with the director's cut ending, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work very well.
No,
you're right.
I didn't think it would.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they had to go back and
whoever's listening, watch the theatrical version.
I would agree.
It's much better.
I would watch the theatrical version too, just because it is shorter, and where there are parts where I felt a lag, I was sitting there consciously thinking, I bet this isn't in the other one.
Yeah,
exactly. And I feel like a shorter runtime is a little leaner, a little meaner. You know,
It felt perfect.
The intensity is the right amount. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I was saying, it's like the phone calls he would get from the room, I guess. I liked all those were appropriately creepy too, because like he gets the one where, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, your ham sandwich is going to be, whatever." And he's like, I didn't get any fucking ham sandwich. And I'm thinking this is just some sort like the person's talking to somebody else, like in the past.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Sir, I don't appreciate the way you're speaking to me." And it's like, oh my God, this ghost is like it's the ghost of a customer service person.
That's hell. That's hell for me. Yeah.
Yeah. The ghost of customer support. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
The things I would do.
Sir,
it's cool,
we can get you your ham sandwich there faster if you just calm down for a minute.
Yeah, or kill yourself. You can have all the ham sandwiches you want.
Yeah, go kill yourself. Click.
But yeah, that was, I think they said 9 or 6. When they called, they would like say, "This is 9." And then they'd give them a message. And the one was, "We've killed all of your friends."
Yeah. Everybody's dead.
Yeah, that was great. It's like, you have no reason to live anymore, Mr. Enslin. Just off yourself already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so, what I like about that, though, is like it's all the stuff that you would say to somebody hoping that they're dumb enough to go for it. It's like, oh, I guess they did kill everybody. Okay, I'm checking out.
Yeah, and I think the moments...
It felt a little like... Sorry. It felt a little like Grady or Lloyd at the Overlook. Like very stoic, very, in character. And that makes it scarier, Yeah. It's just, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like all the moments with when Enslin or Cusick is trying to talk himself out of the shit that he's seen. Like, he put LSD, he dosed me in the liquor, or he leaves himself messages on the recorder,
when he goes outside onto the ledge, it's like if anything happens to me, this wasn't
an accident.
It was an accident.
That was a good scene too. That one.
I do like that scene a lot too, because I love that look down that street and that horizon shot where it looked like the sun was just had gone down, and it's like there was a depth to that shot that they didn't have to do, and I really appreciated it.
I will tell you right now,
the little things
that the room could just have me, because I'm not getting out on that fucking ledge.
Right. That's what I was telling him. I was like, "Would you do that?" I wouldn't do that. I would.
No, I know the moment that I tried to.
No way.
Yeah, I know the moment I tried to stick myself to the side of the wall, I would have fallen back, and I would have just been like, "I'm done."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is just a guess, but one of the people that died going out the window probably fell out scared when the radio turned on. They're just looking out the window, the radio turns on, and they're like, "Whoa!"
Rube's like, "That was easy."
You were the easiest kill.
The Rube hits the easy button on that one, yeah.
But yeah, there were a lot of cool shots in this. Like, I liked a lot of the pinhole shots. Reminded me kind of like Breaking Bad, the way that they shoot that show. When he's crawling through the air ducts and reliving his past, the way those are shot, and like the wry wink from his dad, after he talks to him, like all that stuff was great. That was keeping me in the movie at this point.
The way that they changed filters in certain areas and certain I guess mental states, was interesting.
I do like that they, like the short story, like deals a lot with like orangish yellow or yellowish orange, and the room is completely and totally shot with that kind of natural, kind of yellowish or more yellow.
Gold.
Gold.
Yeah.
The DP, the cinematographer on this, Benoit Delhomme, Jake Delhomme's foreign grandfather.
That's not true.
Chuck, the dad really got Chuck. Chuck wasn't drinking.
He's had a pretty accomplished career, probably a lot more so than Mikhail Hafstrom. Even though Hafstrom has been nominated for an Academy Award for a foreign film, but yeah, he's done some really interesting visual work. He did The Proposition. With John Hillcoat's The Proposition, which is beautifully shot. He also did The Theory of Everything, which was a few years ago, which was the Stephen Hawking movie.
Right. Yeah.
And that was nominated for Best Cinematography at the Satellite Awards or something.
Yeah. Both. I mean, he's very accomplished. It was an interesting movie to watch.
I also thought the sound design and the soundtrack were great. And the sounds that they used, like when he was starting to lose his mind and things would echo and stuff like that, I was like, okay, this really works for me to show me what he's going through. Or when he goes deaf. Go ahead, Blake. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Did you see the budget on this film?
No, I did not. What is it?
$25 million is it?
Yeah.
It was just John Cusack and
Well, yeah. Oh, visual
you had
effects.
to pay for a lot of actors.
Yeah,
Well, I
Sam
was wondering-
Jackson jetted in and then jetted out. It's like I'm gonna go play golf.
Done.
Yeah,
But the first 70 minutes of the film are pretty set piece. Like one place, and then they send John Cusack surfing, which is they probably just filmed like a normal day for him for that stuff.
Yeah, it's like I got my wetsuit in the trunk and my boards on top of my
Under his Hawaiian shirt. He was already ready.
But
Yeah,
it
we've
was
already established that he brought his own wardrobe. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very.
It's like,
It was
it's
very.
like that old dad who still thinks he's cool. Kind of wardrobe. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
We look
But it was-
forward to you wearing that in about 10 years. Blake.
Yep.
And a fedora that's too small for your head.
Yeah.
I think I've already got one of those, so I should just start wearing it. But this movie was very King-like in that, like, it reminded me story-wise, pacing, I guess, of Doohickey. Because you have 80% of it is very, it's just things happening, but not very supernatural until the very end, and then it gets really crazy, which is kind of like what Doohickey happens. It's all skepticism for, 500 pages, and then all hell breaks loose, right? The evil entity shows up, which I think in 1408, the short story, there is kind of a sense of dread that there is an evil presence coming for Enslin before he escapes. I didn't really get that in the movie, that there was like...
it was kind
It
of
was like the room was evil, but it wasn't otherworldly, almost.
Yeah, it was almost like the room was preying upon his own mind,
Right.
his own guilt and his own
Yeah.
Because he's also because I think he does realize that despite not having a great relationship with his dad, he's a little guilty that he threw him in the old folks' home. But yeah.
So I have a question about the theatrical version, because he does escape, right? Does the moment with his father where he goes into the old folks' home, does that happen while he thinks he's in the rooms, or while he thinks he's gotten out of the room but he's still trapped? Or does that happen as exposition when he gets out? I'm just curious.
It happens in the room.
In the room.
It's in the
That's
bath. He goes to
He's
the
in
bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the bathroom.
Okay.
Turns into the old folks' home.
I was just making sure in the movie.
So he actually does. He does escape the room in theatrical.
In the
Yes.
at the end,
At the
yes.
very end, yeah, he does. He makes it out.
He also does in the short story.
In the short story, he's out.
Yeah.
I like that but I would have liked that if they were able to condense the hour down to like 20 minutes. Because I think it would have been a really cool movie, almost like a time loop, right? Where he actually had to go through the hour again and again, and he had to figure out a way out. You know?
Right.
Like the Dark Tower.
It's like that episode of like the Dark Tower, Cause a Wheel, right? It's like that episode of Star Trek Next Generation where the Enterprise keeps blowing up. You know,
I
like
get that reference.
I'm sorry, I was going somewhere else.
But I like where he would maybe pick up clues and learn from his past mistake, and while he's doing that, he's also learning something about himself, and because of that, he's able to pull himself out. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering at the beginning of this movie if he was already in room 1408.
Yeah.
And didn't realize it, but it doesn't. The narrative of the movie itself says no.
Does the theatrical give you any sort of sense of that, Amber? Or
What?
does the theatrical give you any sense of that? Like maybe he's been in the room for a long time?
No, I mean, now that Chuck mentions it, it's an interesting idea, and I'd like to maybe watch it again and see if I picked up on any hints of that. But in the theatrical version, I got to say no.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to go back and watch the original scenes in the post office.
Yeah.
If any of the people in there were actually at the hotel.
That was a really good scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That could
That-
also explain the mysterious postcard.
Right.
Why would he get that in the real world?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thought. I kind of want to watch the beginning again now.
You're welcome, everybody. I'm giving you a reason to watch. That's what Film Seizure is here for. I think, anyway.
We don't know.
We don't know. We really don't know. I mean, it was for me to set out on a quest to record, what I watched onto a podcast.
Right.
You guys just came. Yeah, you guys just came. I don't even know if you guys are real right now. I may just be talking to myself.
I like that aspect of it too, where at the end he is looking at the fire and saying, "I'm not real. Maybe this room's not real, but this fire is real."
Yeah.
And it will burn everything, and like you had mentioned earlier, Jeff, all the oranges and yellows were leading up to this. Like there's clues everywhere that everything's going to be burnt to the ground at the end, which is pretty neat. I think the hellscape he's in with Lily is kind of what the room might have looked like after it burned down, after he literally burns it down, kind of, which is neat. I thought that all of that was neat. Does anyone else have anything on the movie itself? Like, did we skip any parts we need to talk about?
No, because I really think that this movie is pretty much just a guy in a room.
Yeah.
It's pretty cut and dry. It's a guy dealing with his own phantoms with a room that itself is a phantom.
I like the line. I like the line. A ghost that offers turn down service.
Oh yeah.
Great. Another line I loved is in the beginning when the guy that works at the bookstore is like, where should I go if I really want to see a ghost? And he's like, Haunted Mansion, Orlando. I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
And his reaction even is great. He's like, oh, cool. Yeah, all right.
Cool. But the other lady is like, the other lady who's there to get her book signed is like, oh, this guy's an asshole.
Oh, yeah. She's like, he just sent him to Disney. What a dick.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing that wouldn't have been in your version then if you didn't make it out was the tape recorder survived the fire. And so at the end, he's like in an apartment, like he's moving in. Yeah, he's moving back in with his wife and he's playing the tape recorder back and his daughter's voice is on it.
Mm-hmm. So in the theatrical, in the edited version or the unedited version.
Unedited version, yeah.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson shows up at the funeral with a box of items that survived the fire. Okay. And his wife is like, I don't want it. So, which it would have been cool if he gave it to her, but instead he gets back in his car. He opens the box and he plays the recorder and he hears Lily's voice, similar thing. Yeah. And then a burnt to a crisp Cusack like flashes behind him in his vehicle.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
then he hears a girl at the funeral or at the cemetery, like calling out for her dad.
Sound just like Lily.
It's Katie is her name.
You're Katie. Sorry. Lily's the wife.
Right. And he's like looking, it's like, oh shit. And then, cause now he's starting to think he's in the room. I think that's how I took it at least. But then there's just another guy there who doesn't look anything like John Cusack. He's like, yeah, hey, there you are. And they go off happy. And then he checks his back seat again and then he just drives off.
And then there's one last scene of the burnt out hotel room with John Cusack as a ghost.
Looking out the window, smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
And then
his daughter calls him.
And he's like, okay.
And he sort of disappears as an apparition. Yeah.
So it's kind of the ending of that is that he may be in hell, he may be dead, but he's with his daughter now.
Yeah. I prefer that version almost. That'd be pretty good.
I think if this movie
but I don't really think it works well with Lily. I don't like how it interacts with his wife at the end. It doesn't ring true to me. Yeah.
Well, I think if she got the tape recorder
Yeah.
Instead of Olin listening to it. So if they mix those two endings together and she listened to the tape by herself and heard her daughter's voice, and then it cuts to the hotel, would have been a far better ending.
I agree.
Yeah.
What, Blake, let me ask you a question. With the theatrical ending, horror movies always have a sting, right? Like, what is there something else that is unresolved? Is this room still evil? Like, is there a sting at the end of the theatrical?
No, I mean, it doesn't cut back to the room or anything like that.
Interesting.
It cuts back on, Cusack. It cuts out on his daughter Katie's voice. And then, you get a scene of the mother, like,
it was all real. Yeah, she believes. They're both believers. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Well, yeah. All right.
Okay. Yeah, yours was definitely a lot more than ours. The ending after the room, it was very short. Yeah.
Okay. Well, apparently that's the ending that the test audiences wanted.
Yeah.
That's what they got.
I'm gonna go. I'm definitely intrigued in watching the theatrical release now because it's condensed, and I like what you guys are telling me about the ending a lot better.
Yeah, well, and we didn't feel the lulls that you guys were talking about either. I think the pacing was a little bit better. Yeah, obviously shorter. So yeah,
it moved quicker.
I didn't feel the lulls. Yeah.
Cool. I appreciate this. Oh, sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's like while we were all looking forward to Carrie, we ultimately were all very happy with 1408.
Yeah.
Because like for me, like I was saying, it's like take out some of the more like cinematic type of stuff, like especially that first 45 minutes to an hour. Like, man, I was into it. It's like I am digging this. I am ready for spooky movies for Halloween. By the way, lifting back the curtain a little bit, we're recording this in mid-September, so it's like now I'm ready. Like I'm ready for Halloween season. I'm ready for like these spooky movies, and I was really happy with that. And I was really impressed with.
This is your first time watching it, right?
Yeah, this was the very first time for me, and I was very, very impressed with like John Cusack really did like strap this onto his back and carried the whole thing. So yeah, Sam Jackson's in it for like 3 scenes in our version.
Castaway, but we're
and it's like Mary McCormick's in it for 3 scenes. In our version, so it's, or 4 scenes, I guess, but like it was, he really carried the movie all the way through. And I liked that he was not, while he was spooked, he didn't immediately believe. He was still trying to suss out the mystery.
It was a very believable progression for his character. Go ahead, Jason.
I had seen this before. I'd seen it. I can't remember if I saw it in the theater when it came out or when it hit video when it came out. But I definitely had seen it, early in its life. And I remember liking it. And it would have been the theatrical that I saw for sure. And I remember liking it, but I just kind of forgot it. Right. I remember, kind of bumping up against it and being reminded of it, but never revisiting it. And I was happy to revisit it. I enjoyed it. And I think weirdly, in some ways, this is the scariest of the 4 Stephen King movies we've covered this month. It is the most overt.
It's the most unsettling.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Well, I think, where King's stories are very internal, like this film did really well of exploring Enslin's brain. Which you don't get a lot in adaptations for King films, is all that great stuff that King writes that's internal to the character. They did a really good job in this film.
Yeah, because I would argue that is exactly why, like you get that in the Dead Zone, but the Dead Zone is not like overtly scary necessarily, right? It's more of a thriller. Right. Christine definitely was trying to add on to like, particularly the relationship between Dennis and Arnie, And like Salem's Lot, that was the movie where we really needed to really know Ben's inner thoughts for that to be put over the top, I think, even though I still like Salem's Lot a lot.
I think it succeeded a little bit in that department too, maybe not as well as this movie.
Yeah.
I know you guys weren't on those episodes. Do you have any clear recollections or thoughts on Dead Zone, Salem's Lot, or Christine that you wanted to share?
All solid movies, all solid picks. I mean, I always found Christine fascinating. I believe there's like no blood in that movie, isn't there?
Not really.
No, there's a burning corpse. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, still.
I mean, I think Halloween's the same way though too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Carpenter
for a
knows
master
when to do
of horror, John Carpenter is not into gore. Yeah.
Except for The Thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I was going to say, has he ever hired Tom Savini? That'd probably be a waste, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think so.
Waste of talent there. Yeah.
Cool.
I think also for Carpenter, his most effective horror has been the horror that has been on a budget, right?
Yeah.
So he hasn't really had the luxury in a lot of those early films of special effects score. Yeah, maybe he would have been into it, but it's hard to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like that with music too. I like the beats that are missing almost as much as I like the beats that are there, if that makes sense. Like when you have to use your imagination to fill a space is a lot cooler sometimes than actually seeing it. Now, but when I watch
Not everything needs a drum fill.
Yeah, yeah. And when I watch a film like Dead Alive, I'm like, I'm here for the lawnmower destruction of 1,000 zombies. But sometimes it's cool when that's left to the imagination.
I think that's why I was really digging 1408s, because I was more on the edge of my seat, like, what's next? What's going to happen? What's not there that I should be seeing, or what's there that I should be seeing that I'm not? And I think that's what made this, I think, a little bit more effective in the horror genre.
It puts you in the room and it puts you in his head.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I like spooky stuff when the weather starts turning cold. So this is one that maybe not this year, but I could see this playing in a Halloween playlist next year or something for me.
Yeah, I watched it outside last night on the side of the house. It was awesome. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was really nice out last night. I took a walk last night. Yeah. So yeah. Well, I think we did the 1,408 words about 1408.
I think you did that many words, Jeff.
I did that many words with our ghost.
The introduction. Is that the douchebaggins introduction? But yeah, I echo all the sentiments. I appreciated this pick a lot, and I thought it fit really well.
It was this, Christine, or I don't know if any of you have seen Graveyard Shift.
I haven't seen Graveyard Shift in like 30 years or whatever.
Yeah, me neither. It's been a long time.
But
It's bad still, but it's still got its good moments.
Yeah.
Oh, I should mention that it's been a long time since I've read Stephen King's On Writing, but I should mention that this is the example that he gave in the appendix of that book of the different versions of a draft of a story. Mm-hmm. And how they change from draft to draft, which I think is really, really kind of cool.
Yeah. He was just giving an example story, and he liked it so much he finished it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He. That's a great book too.
It is.
Even if you don't want to be a writer, it's well worth reading.
Oh, I read it, audiobooked it. It's really good.
It's a very good book about just like personal discipline. It's almost like self-help in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did the audiobook? Sorry, Blake, go ahead.
He did.
Oh, then I need to hear that then.
I hope he is railing on Coke when he's reading that.
No, he hasn't done that for like 30 years.
Because railed Stephen King is entertaining.
The best stories. It is the best stories. Yeah. Like 2 beers at a time and doing a line. It's magic.
Magic.
I would have hated to be his editor during the Coke years, though. He probably wrote like 2,000 pages for every book.
You know this part with the kids at the end? Really? Yeah, put it in.
And keep it in.
He honestly might not have been that bad though, Chuck, because he didn't remember writing it anyway. So the editor could just go in and like fix whatever the fuck they wanted, and he'd be like, I don't remember.
That's where the Richard Bachman persona came from. It was coke fueled.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we can. Put the kibosh here on our spooky Stephen King month.
What do we got next month?
Ooh, it's Naughty November.
Naughty November.
He's like, ooh, what's happening?
Yeah. So next week we got 9.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm gonna get steamy over here. What was that, Blake?
Have you done Gymkata?
No, but I really, really want to. I love that movie. That movie is a life-changing movie.
Yeah, that's pretty
I don't know
bad.
what that is. All right,
Maybe that's just me and Blake. Maybe me and Blake will go off and do that spin-off of a weekly breakdown of Gymkata. Naughty November starts next week. I have on next Monday, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla on Monster Mondays. So
That's a good one.
I love that one. I love that Mechagodzilla so much. So much I bought a poster and stuck it to my wall. There's a couple of things to look forward to on bmovieenema.com. We have Beyond the Door 3 that finishes out Exorcist Ripoff Month. And then we have on Saturday for Halloween, The Slumber Party Massacre.
Nice.
again. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I believe I've seen.
It's on,
yeah,
it's on Amazon right now. So.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. So that's what's going on there. You can go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find us all of those places. Just search for Film Seizure. So happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah. Happy Halloween. Enjoy your spooky movies. Enjoy your trick-or-treating if you're able to in the various towns that you are due to the real-life horror. That is 2020. And so until I should say thank you again to Amber and Blake Brown for coming.
Yes, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Good pick.
Yes, and Blake, we will talk about Gymkata very, very soon. That movie is amazing. So anyway, until next week, I am Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Moore.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.
Ooh, spooky Halloween.
Ooh.